I just love seeing so many of your beautiful faces on. Well done, all of you, for getting on live. Brand new people, people who've been with us longer, but honestly, well done for getting on, whatever, because I am gonna go through loads of good stuff tonight. Well, hopefully it's gonna be good. um, and hopefully it's going to be helpful. I'm basically going to go through right from brand new, you haven't got a clue where to start with inviting, and then we can use this video to refer back to, hopefully in the future, for new consultants that come on board. And also for people that have been here with us a little bit longer, maybe when you have new consultants coming on board, you're not quite, confident to kind of like teach them how to invite and things like that. So I'm going to basically go through an array, and then I'm also going to go through at the end, hopefully we'll have time, I'm going to go through how you respond when you get a no, or it's not for me, or you get a no response, and I'll go through some things like that with you as well, which we all know happens, but we can literally, it's not just the end of the world and that's it, close book, end of conversation, if we get one of them responses, because that is just how it goes. And I've actually just done a little blitz myself on inviting for some DAs we've got on this week, and so what I thought I would do is I'll actually show you how I've done it as well, like some real life messages that I've sent, and I've had some responses back as well, so I'll show you them. Sunday night is the best night to invite. Do you know what? I haven't actually done some inviting on a Sunday night for a little while, and I've had such some good responses straight away back tonight on my messages. And it just goes, I always say to people, Sunday night's a really great night to invite, but then tends to be what happened. I tend to get embroiled in some training or some coaching calls or stuff like that, and it actually stops me working my personal business. But Sunday night is the best time to invite. So what I'm going to do is I might share my screen actually, because I've got like a few kind of like, some of you that have been here a bit longer might have seen some of these ones. I add to it all the time as I kind of, because it's an evolving thing, I'm still improving and getting better at inviting as well. And when we go to AAC and people give new tips, I will incorporate what I think's good and how I can improve mine even more. And that's what this business is all about, just improving. If we stay stagnant, we're never gonna get to the next level, and etc. It's all about just improving all the time, because things move and evolve all the time, doesn't it? Technology evolves all the time, so we have to move with the times, don't we? So I'll share my screen anyway, and let me see if I can see notes. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna share with you first of all my bog standard rules for inviting. Okay, so these are my rules for inviting. Keep messages short and sweet. Now, no essays or going into detail of what it is. Now, I was massively guilty of this, and I literally used to write like a massive big paragraph, and it was just never used to go down very well. And I used to think, gosh, I think like I'm getting really passionate, and I'm like really really good at this inviting, but I was just boring people half to death, and it was just like a big long paragraph. And no, don't do that. It's got to be short and sweet. So you notice all the messages are pretty short and sweet. Keep the cards close to your chest. So this is if you're brand new, when you haven't gone out there and told people what it is yet, which we would encourage you to kind of do, because everyone will have a perception of what it is as soon as you say it. So literally just keep the cards close to your chest, and they'll log on, or they'll come along to be nosy, because they'll just be super intrigued of what it is that you're getting up to. And lots of you will have been on the end of this when you become introduced to Arbonne. Maybe you went along to an event not knowing what it was, and so many people have said to me, oh my gosh, I would never have come tonight if I would have heard that's what it was before I came here, but now I've come, oh my gosh, can't believe how much more there is to it than I thought, and all them kind of things. So this works. It's not like about being cloak and dagger. We just know that it works, because people just think, oh gosh, I'm not interested in that, I'm not interested in products, or I'm not a salesperson, and they'll come up with their objection before they've even heard what it is. So individual messages to make people feel special. No events or group messages. Like I mentioned this on the training call this morning, but again, not all of you might have been on. But what I was basically saying to the guys I touched on is, if you do like a group message or a group event, I've got this launch event round at my house and you've invited 100 people, like how desperate does that look? Because quite clearly you're not going to expect all 100 to turn up. Whereas if you know, just do individual messages and you make them feel really, really super special, like it would mean the world to me for coming along to support, or, you know, I actually think you might be really interested in this and I keep thinking of you when, you know, when I've been doing it, kind of thing, that I think that you might absolutely love it and it'd be right up your street kind thing. That's the kind of words, you know, that's the kind of things you want to be thinking about and saying. Use words that you'd use. So obviously I'm going to share some of my examples, but if you send a message to a friend who knows you and it doesn't sound like you, it's going to sound really weird. And it's going to be like, why has my friend been abducted by these aliens? You know? So you definitely want to make sure that that isn't happening. Sorry, I've got messages coming back. Okay, cool. Blah, 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 make sure it sounds like you. So even if I'm telling you this is what I do, don't, you know, it's from you. It's got to be authentic and genuine and sound like it's coming from you. Again, if you normally phone somebody and then you send them a text, that's going to be weird. Vice versa, if you normally text somebody and then you start phoning them, they're going to think this is really weird. So contact them in the way that it isn't out of character for you to contact them. Otherwise, it's going to come across really weird. Like if you would normally WhatsApp them, etc. Tailor them to the person. So if you know them well enough, why would it suit them? That's what you've always got to think about. So never ever use generic cut and paste invites to people, because that's just going to come across in that way that it's just generic, it's not personal to that person. So always think, right, what's going to grab their attention, or what is in it for them. So say, for example, you know, they hate their job. You know, you might want to be like, listen, you know, I started a new business. I know how much you hate your job. Come along and take a listen to this. Or I know how much you love your holidays. Oh my gosh, this business, you would never, ever believe it. And, you know, you go in on that angle. It might be that, you know, it might be that somebody is a massive obsessed about makeup or products or whatever, so you might use the products in that example, but yeah, you just have to be careful in case people think that you're just going to try and sell to them, because that's kind of like a bit of an off-putting thing, isn't it? So always think of the person and think of what's going to grab their attention, or what is going to be in it for them, because if you speak to them in that language, then they're going to be open to it. Be excited. It is all about the energy. So if you've had a bad day and then you're going to start your messaging, how are your messages going to sound out? Versus, I mean, which is basically what's happening to us at the moment. We've been to AAC, we've had the best weekend. Lots of us have come away and we've been messaging and we've been having good results because we are literally on a high energy. But you've got to make sure that it doesn't come across like you're being pushy, or you're being like, you know, you've got to you can't come across like being too pushy, because passion, you know, when your passion comes across, that's great, but your passion can't sort of like be too pushy, if that makes sense. So be excited. It's all about your energy. If you're in a bad mood, it's probably you're not in the right space to do some inviting. Put on something positive, put on some music and do some Rachel Hollis dancing around, and then start inviting, because you're going to then be in a much better raising your energy, if that makes sense. And don't overthink these messages. Literally, the Mel Robbins rule, if you haven't read that book, it's an amazing book. Don't overthink it. Just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and just click the send button. Sometimes I reread the message, and then I just go, no, Lacey, you're overthinking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just hit that send button, and then it's gone, and you're like, oh, there we go, it's gone. Don't have to think about it anymore, and just move on. And honestly, the more you do this in the beginning, it can feel a little bit like icky, or, oh, I'm just not very good at this. The more you do it, the easier it gets. You won't be literally checking your phone for like, oh my gosh, have they responded yet? I can't believe they've read it and they've not responded, because I know it's a little bit like that in the beginning. The less that happens, the better you get at it, because you just evolve. If you're literally sending a message here and there once in a blue moon, you'll never get good at it. So I would absolutely encourage you to up up the ante on the inviting, because the more you do in a smaller space of time, you will improve. Does that make sense? And if anyone else has got any tips that they want to just add on, by the way, feel free. I'm just going to sort of go with what I sort of found as successful for the moment. So I'm going to just share with you. Oh, right. Okay. So little kind of like tips I've written is, so space out your messages. So say, for example, like, especially like on Messenger, on a messenger message, if you like, if it's quite a long message, as in you're having a bit of a chit chat and you're making a bit of conversation, which I absolutely encourage you to do, and I'll show you some of mine that I've just done now, make sure that you kind of like space it out, so it's not all the writing's not bunched together, so it comes across as it's a big essay, if that makes sense. So like space it out, so you might want to say, hey, how are you, space, new paragraph. I think that's really, it looks neat and tidy then. Remember as well, when you're sending messages and inviting people, it can massively affect people's perception of the brand in general. Like, so we are representing our awesome brand that we all absolutely love, I know, and this business can get a really, really bad reputation from people inviting really, really badly. And sometimes you might speak to somebody and they say, oh, was it one of them things, I had like these messages off somebody and they just didn't shut up and blah, 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 blah. And so we always just have to bear that in mind, that we are, when we message somebody to reach out, we're representing our brand, and we have to be super conscious that we want to do our business in a really, really classy way, that wouldn't give somebody a bad view of our brand, if that makes sense. So I think there's been a couple of messages on the chat, so I'm just going to quickly, I can't see when I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I totally agree. Cringe, the more you do, the better. You just think about it less, and you just get better results. You'll be like, all right, that really worked, so I'm going to do that a little bit more and stuff like that. And it's a numbers game. The more you send, the better your chances are. 100%. Cool. So these are a couple of ideas of how. So the first thing I should actually say is, brand new consultants, they absolutely need to have an inviting lesson with their upline. So if you're new and you haven't sat down and had an inviting lesson with your upline, go and say to your upline, why haven't you given me an inviting lesson? And if that's me, come and say to me, sorry. It's absolutely fine, but honestly, just badger your upline, and if that's me, again, do it. To ask for help, just do it, because that is, the people that badger me the most are the people that go on to be the most successful. When people are coming to me saying, I'm sorry, I'm going, oh my gosh, just do it, just do it, just badger me all the time. If you're sending me messages every day saying, how should you respond to this, how would you respond to this, I'm not sure what to say to this, that is showing how much activity people are in, and I will absolutely embrace and help you every single day. So just literally make sure you have an inviting lesson, because it's super important. If we can master this inviting skill really, really easy early on in your business, this is why I say you should have an inviting lesson in like your first week of how to invite to your launch, then this business is really, really easy. If you can master this invite, the business is absolutely easy. I totally thingy that, because if we can just get them along, if we can invite successfully and get them along to like a launch or event where somebody, is obviously presenting, that's what you need to do, isn't it? You can absolutely have a team, there and then. So classic example, Farah in Carolina's team, she had her launch. We did it on Wednesday. She was absolutely buzzing after she signed up, came to AAC, left AAC absolutely buzzing, put a launch date in the diary. She invited people like with such a huge energy, super, super excited. They came along, and she's already added 2 new people to her team who I think are possibly on tonight, and with more joining as well. And so it just goes to show, you don't have to be an expert at this business. You don't have to know the full presentation or anything really. You just need to be able to invite well, to get them in front of all the information, so that, and you can grow your business and grow your team. So anyway, we're in. So make sure you have an inviting lesson with you applying, basically. It's a super, super important skill to master. And if we can get that done in the first couple of weeks, then you are away, man. So for your new consultants, so this kind of thing, hey, how are you? Are you around on Tuesday night? And remember, this is kind of like your friends and family that you're inviting to your initial launch, isn't it? I've just started an online business and I'm doing my business launch. It would mean the world to me if you can jump online and give me your support. Can you do 8 p.m. on Tuesday? I don't know. So much love, and keeping your fingers crossed you can make it. So look how short that message is. So short, isn't it? And if people are intrigued, like I say, they'll come, hey lovely, how are you? Are you around Tuesday night? I have just started my online business and it would mean so much to get your thoughts, being the business girl you are. Can you jump online at so much love, can't wait to see you. So that's just a couple of ones that sort of Samantha Reed has used, but some of you might have took some of her screenshots from the stage at AAC as well. You might want to use this sort of approach if you have been doing it a little bit longer. So say, for example, you've been doing it a little bit longer and you might not have spoke to them about it, but they might be aware from social media or whatever that you're doing it, or you might have invited them to like your business page or whatever. Hey lovely lady, I'm not sure if you know, but I started a new business venture and I think it could be something that really interests you. You might want to say why or what, because that obviously makes it much more personal. No worries if it isn't, but would you be open to taking a look sometime over a coffee? Would be lovely to catch up with you too. And I just think that it's so important to just keep it casual, because if people feel like it sounds too businessy, they can be scared off. So fancy having a chat over a coffee? It just sounds so super, super casual, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like they're going to have to sign their life away or anything like that, or there's any pressure whatsoever. And that's how you want to make it feel. And like, it's no big deal to you, because if it comes across like it means the world to you, like, oh my gosh, I've just got to tell this person they would be amazing at this business. If that message comes across like that, you're going to scare them away. Does that make sense? Hey you, how's it going? I've been meaning to drop you a quick message because I met a business partner who's absolutely flying in this business and she so reminded me of you. It may not be something that would interest you, but you'd be open to me sharing with you a bit about it and having a catch up sometime? That kind of thing. So again, quite casual. Sometimes it's a little bit like, I've not spoken to this person for ages. What can I do to kind of like sort of warrant rationale the random message out of the blue? So sometimes saying, oh my gosh, there's someone flying in the business that I do and they really reminded me of you, is a good one. I've done that for a couple of people this week, with it being AAC. Oh my gosh, there's these people talking on stage and I just totally thought of you. So yeah, that kind of thing. So then once obviously they sort of come back and be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, what is it? Or they might ask you questions or whatever. So if it's a Zoom one, so all you need to do is click the link at 8:30. It's a video call and it would be fab to see your friendly face for support, but if not, you can turn your camera off. If you want to test it beforehand, go ahead. You may need to download the free app and call Zoom and key in the meeting ID. So that's if it's a Zoom one. If it's an in-person one, you might want to say, oh well, shall I pick you up on the way? Because if you pick them up, you've got more chances of coming. If say for example tomorrow night, I'll share my screen in a minute and I'll show you. I've just said to someone, oh, do you want me to pick you up? I'll pick you up on the way. And she's gone, oh yeah, cool. Much more likelihood that they're going to come then. And you're not going to get a message sort of as you arrive at the venue with them cancel it. And get them in your car and say, oh, we'll have a little chit chat in the way, which is what I just said to my girl. Yeah, or just be like, oh, well, I'll meet you in the bar and I'll buy you a drink. Like, oh, it'll be so good. We can have a little glass of wine, and just make it sound really, really chilled. So if you've been doing this business a little while, maybe you've spoken to them about Arbonne before and you're kind of like, they've been really good, but they didn't quite sign up, or it wasn't maybe the right time for them, or whatever. Hey, how's it all going? I know I spoke to you about Arbonne a while back and I just thought I'd send you a quick message to see where you are with it all, as I know you were really tempted at the time. Going so well and I'm loving it, and I know you'd be so good at it. Want to come to an event sometime or meet for a coffee? It'd be so lovely to see you again. That kind of thing. So to see how kind of casual it is, it's not like they're not really like scripted. And it was really funny because I think somebody asked me the other day to just sort of check over a message, and it was absolutely perfect in terms of what to say. It just sounded a little bit scripted, like, do you know what I mean? So just like add the little sort of casual sort of like little sentences in there to just make it sound casual. Hey, how are you? I know you spoke we spoke sometime about Arbonne, and I thought I'd send you a quick message to see how it's all going, as I know you weren't particularly loving your job or your work-life balance, or you wanting more money. So you, again, talk to them about what it was they wanted, and they still didn't come on board. Have things improved for you? Because I bet you 9 times out of 10 they won't have. They'll still be in the same situation, even though they may have told you a year ago that they were, you know, hating their work-life balance. So you check back in with them. Have things improved? Oh no. Oh right, well, funny that then. Well, things with Arbonne, I'm so excited. Would love to have another chat with you about how this could be such an amazing vehicle for you, that kind of thing. Yeah. So last caveat I've got on here, don't like, so it's different if it's your business launch and the reason you're reaching out to them is, oh my gosh, I've got to tell you about my business, and it's kind of like somebody that, you know, you're sort of you're in touch with, and it's not really weird for you to message, then yeah, just go in with them, you know, oh my gosh, I'm starting a new business, I would love to tell you about it, that kind of thing. Yeah. If it's not your launch, and you know when you're looking through sort of like your Facebook friend list and you're thinking, oh gosh, well I used to work with them, but you know I've not seen them for 5 years or however long it is, it's kind of a bit weird to then go, hey, you know, sorry for messaging out of the blue, I'd just like to tell you about my new business. It's a bit weird. So I always say, think of it like, you know, you're asking for sex on your first date. You know, you wouldn't do that. You're going to look like you're after one thing, and you're going to look like a bit of a whore. let's be honest. So don't go straight in with the business. Do some chit chat first, and you might have to just literally use a bit of imagination basically to as to how to start a conversation. What's this? Inviting. Oh, okay. Sorry, there's a comment there, and I was like, oh, what's that? I don't know what's that, what I said. But yeah, basically, you might have to be a bit inventive as to why you've thought of them to message them. So it might be like, yes, Annette, you get the idea. Because otherwise it just comes a little bit, otherwise it just comes in a bit like you're being a bit forward, just randomly messaging about a business, if that makes sense. So I do try and think of a little reason as to why I need to message them. So say, for example, and I think I've said this to you, Nicola, before, there's this girl I was in school with, and she was a really good singer. So I messaged her and I was like, oh, I was thinking I'd love to, you know, do some singing again. And I was thinking you'd be the person that might know where there's some things going on in the area, some choirs and things like that. And so that was my way in to kind of sort of start a conversation. She was like, oh yeah, I do actually, there's this, or there's this, how's it going for you, how are you, how's the children? And you start kind of like chit-chatting. But if I'd have just messaged, oh hi, how are you, how's the children, that would have been a bit ridiculous. But because I'd thought of a reason, thought of something that she did, and I just sort of made out that, you know, I was interested in that, then it struck up the conversation. How else would I do it? So say, for example, there was a girl, and she posted on social media that her little girl had been at the ice cream farm, and she broke her leg on them marshmallow things, if anyone's been and seen them. And literally, like the day before, I'd been there, and my kids wanted to go on them, but they didn't have socks, so they couldn't go on because it was a boiling hot day. And then her little girl had gone on, and she'd broken her leg or her ankle on it or something. So I like, you know, I messaged about that. I'd seen something on her social media, and I messaged about that, you know, and then kind of things. I was like, oh my gosh, can't believe that's happened, blah 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 blah. So like, think of a reason why. So it might even be like, you used to go out drinking to a bar, and then be say, oh, guess what, I went past there the other day and it made me think of you. And you might not have been past there at all, but you're just thinking of them because you're thinking you want to speak to them about your business, but you just want to make it sound a little bit more genuine and a little bit more like, not like you're kind of like out to get them, because it's not like we're out to get them. We want to help these people come on board this amazing business, don't we? We want to help them with the fact that they hate their job, they need more some positivity in their life, the fact that they want more money, want a better lifestyle. That's what we want to help them with, but they're not going to know that initially. So we have to kind of like go in kind of like a roundabout way, if that makes sense. So Nicola's asking how would we fit this in with the blitz? Well, I do still kind of send a little bit more of a chit chat message before, or just sometimes it might just be, oh my goodness, I saw it was your wedding anniversary yesterday. Did you have a nice time? I've been actually meaning to drop you a little message about the business that I do. Actually, you know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, massive chit chat before, but I suppose there just has to be like a reason why you've kind of thought about them to kind of message them in the first place. Does that make sense? Does that help? Am I making sense with that? I'm not sure whether I am. In my head I am. Funny. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So what did I, yeah, so yeah, you just don't want to go straight in with things. So just, I will show you some of my, I'm going to share my screen and show you some of my messages. 2 secs, I'm just going to get them up. Oh, what's going on? Okay, cool. Let's see, all in Messenger. So obviously tomorrow we have got hold on, Ellesmere Port tomorrow night. So I was just sat here going, who do I know in Ellesmere Port? I was just trying to rack my brains. So I'm going to share my screen with you now, and I'm going to show you a couple of my examples that I've done tonight, just in case this is helpful for you, okay? So share my screen. I'm going to show you my messenger, and I'm going to show you this lady. Okay, so she's actually agreed to come tomorrow night. But basically, the background to this lady is that I know, I hope nobody knows her. I know that she's not particularly happy. She doesn't like her job. And you know, she's done a couple of sideline businesses, like a bit of sewing and stuff like that, to make a bit of extra money, because it's a bit of a hobby and something she likes to do. So I just went in with, hey, lovely lady, long time no see, how's tricks? I was just trying to have a think who I knew in the port, and so I thought of you. Do you know anyone who hates their job, needs a bit of positivity in their life and or some extra money? Just thought I'd ask, with it being your neck of the woods. She doesn't actually live there now, but she was from there. We're at the Holiday Inn there tomorrow evening. Come along if you fancy it, and know anyone else you know. Would be lovely to see you. And then look at her response. Hey, lovely. Yeah, all good here. How are you? Actually, you've just described me there. Would be good to catch up. I'm off work at the moment, so let me know if you fancy a brew. I can pop along tomorrow also. And I've just said, oh, come along then. It's 7:30. You can jump in with me if you want. We can have a chinwag on the way up to you. I'll be leaving probably about 6:45. And she's gone, yeah, okay. Shall I come to yours at 6:30? And I'll go, and then blah, blah, blah. So you kind of get the gist. Does that kind of like, is that kind of helpful? Let me see if I can find some more. So So who else? So this is quite funny, because this girl was literally all guns blazing to sign up ages ago, and then never did. I think she just got scared. So I have literally just messaged, but I can see she's always watching me on social media. So it's somebody that I used to work with, and me and Nikki Clegg actually used to work with her, right? So I thought, well, what, she will probably have massive FOMO knowing her, that there's somebody else that she knows doing the business and she hasn't come on board and done it yet. So I've used that, and I said, hey, how are you? Just thought I'd send you a little quick message as we're in the Holiday Inn Ellesmere Port tomorrow. This is where she lives. We're doing an event. I thought you might like to come along. You'll know who I'm doing with, actually. Do you remember Nick Shackleton from TMB? That's where we used to work. I'm helping her build a fab business now too, to escape her retail banking job. Fancy coming along? Would be lovely to see you. So can you see how no two messages are the same? They're really personal for that person. And I've really sort of like, you know, kind of thought what has, you know, do you know what I mean? I really sort of thought about them. I'm trying to think of some more now. But yeah, that's just kind of like two really. But what I might just go on, I am making sense. Okay, that's cool. What I am also going to just quickly do now is just cover when people say, if you've got like a common thing, people come back to you and say, write it in the notes, and I will tell you how I would answer that. So does anyone ever say to you, oh, good luck, hun? That is so annoying. People always used to say that to me. Oh, good luck, good for you. Or I'm just so busy, I'm not sure that I could do anything at the moment, something like that, right? So they just basically don't understand what it is that you're doing, and they're objecting to it and they don't even know. So I'll go with what should I go with first? The time one? Oh, I haven't got time, something like that. I don't know. So I would go, oh my goodness, I totally understand. I was exactly the same, didn't know how I could fit something else in. So you're basically saying, I was exactly the same. Oh, bless you, honey. Things like that, like words like that. You're sympathetic. You're being really loving and sympathetic towards them. And I would turn around and say, honestly, I didn't think I had the time either. But then what I realized was I am always going to be super busy unless I change something. And what this business enables me to do is work part-time hours but earn a full-time corporate income. But it's so hard to do it any justice. Why don't I tell you a bit about it, and you can see what you think, like that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Katie Wallace, oh, I've tried something like this before. Okay, Katie, what are you saying to them? Because how do they know they've tried something like it before? That would suggest to me that you're saying too much in your messages, because if you've kept it short and simple and not giving any information away, then they shouldn't know whether they've done anything like it before, because you should be giving them such little information. They shouldn't know that. Does that make sense? So maybe have a little look around what your messages that you're sending in the first place to make them think that they've done something like it before. Does that make sense? Carolina says, what is your business about then? So if somebody says, what is it about? I would just say, oh, it is so hard to explain over a message. I just normally say that, oh my gosh, it's so hard to kind of do it any justice and explain to it over a message. Why don't we just have a little cup of tea, and I can, but if you fancy going for a cup of tea, I can go into tell you all about it then. Does that make sense? What if they won't entertain getting together until you tell them more? I would then probably send them maybe Sarah Dunning's short video. I'm thinking of maybe doing one of them myself, doing like a really short little video. Yeah, Sarah Dunning is pretty amazing, isn't it? If they won't get together until you tell them anything at all, yeah, it's a difficult one. That maybe send them the Sarah Dunning short video. I suppose it depends what, like, yeah, it just depends what's been said. I'd probably see if I could use some tactics to be like, oh well, let's just go for a cuppa and just keep it really casual, and I can just tell you a little bit about it. But if it's not for you, like, that's absolutely fine. And then if you're really being really chatty and just like interested in them and catching up and all of that, then hopefully they shouldn't object to just like catching up for a cup of tea, if that makes sense. Where can we send Sarah Dunning video? We can send it you on WhatsApp, because we don't put it on prospects page on our pages for our prospects to see, because she specifically said not to post on social media. Not sure if you'll cover this later, but when they just ignore your message. So when they just ignore your message, I would just send maybe another message. Me and Nikki Clegg were talking about this the other day, and she just said that she sent one saying, hey lovely, I don't know whether you got my message the other day. My internet was being really funny, so I'm not sure that it sent. Knowing full well it clearly did. But just something like that. You know, my phone was really playing up the other day, and I'm not sure, some of the messages didn't send, so I'm not sure whether a message sent. Honestly, people always respond when you send one like that. I've had lots of replies with voice messages. Ooh. Have you been sending voice messages to... Oh, Annette has been sending voice messages and she's been getting replies off of them. Oh, okay, amazing. So yeah, so again, you could send a voice note. It's really, really, if you find it hard to put words down in a message, a voice message is really, really good. It's difficult because some people might be like, what's this voice message thing, and that come across as weird. So again, just gauge your audience and what you think. I think it's really easy to kind of get across your excitement and stuff in a voice message. But sometimes people might even not know what it is. So you might have to send a little message and just be like, hey, honey, I'm just going to send you a quick voice note. I want to chat to you about something, just click play, or, just explain what it is. So yeah, a voice note is a good idea. Yeah, much more enthusiastic when they can hear your voice and the excitement in your voice. But again, you've just got to find your way. So you might just try different things and see how you go. Have I answered everybody's questions that's asked one so far? Yeah, especially if you know them really, really well. Yeah, that's so good. I follow up a few days after to ask if they receive a message. Yeah, so that's another thing you can do. You can just keep on top of your inbox and notice the people that haven't responded to you, and after a few days just be like, hey honey. The other one you can do is just being really, really open and just being like, I know how busy it is and you haven't had a chance to answer me yet. I know what it's like, like sometimes I'll be like, the kids, I'm trying to do two things at once and then I forget to reply, kind of thing. Because we all know, don't we, if we're walking around the supermarket and your phone goes, you sometimes read a message and then forget to reply. I'm massively guilty about that. So if I do that to any of you, please just go, you haven't replied. And I will always make sure I do. But yeah, you can then be like, so did you fancy coming along to the event on Wednesday night? You're going to love it, just wanted to check because, you'd absolutely love what I'm doing. So let's get together and tell you about it, if they haven't responded, that kind of thing. Is that helpful? Any other, what about the people who you have literally been trying to get on an online DA for months and they are now just not opening your messages? Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I think that sometimes when you just somebody said something in AAC, and it was a really good saying: speak less to more people. I can't remember what it was. I'm not sure, but I think sometimes you literally, somebody will sort of express an interest and then you'll literally be like, oh, these are so going to do it. And you message that person. And then once they've cancelled on you like so many times, it's like, oh, they just constantly cancel. So I just think, oh, do you know what? They're a flake. Move on and speak less to more people. Yeah, I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Literally just speak to more people. Like just leave them to it. I think when you get to that stage, if you feel like that you've just messaged them and they've cancelled so much and then they're not just literally just move on to different people, because there's so many other people out there. And just, if you're growing your business and in huge activity, they're going to see your journey of your success on your social media. So make sure that, they're seeing, you being congratulated on your social media for your bonus, that they're seeing that, you've been to the event at AAC and you've had an amazing weekend. Because if you're telling your story on your social media, they're just going to be watching on thinking, oh gosh, it does look good what they're doing. Oh, and they are having success. They're still doing it. Do you know what I mean? You don't want ever to be in the position where somebody goes, oh, are you still doing that Arbonne thing? And they don't even know, because then you're not telling your story well enough. Let them watch 100%. You have said about reconnecting with someone you once knew, but what about inviting past your friend and family circle? Am I reading that right? So people that, yeah, people who aren't your close circle, is that Sam? So like, is that, does she mean cold market? So cold market is like a different beast. It's harder to crack your cold market. Some people say, oh, it's so easy. It's much easier with your cold market because you don't have to worry about what they think of you. But I would say it's very hard to crack your cold market, because you could be some sort of con artist, you've got absolutely no credibility with them. Whereas at least your friends and family know you're a real person and they know you wouldn't be involved with anything dodgy, well, hopefully anyway. Whereas a cold market person, you could just be involved in any dodgy thing, couldn't you? So you don't have that credibility. So I find with your cold market, it takes a lot longer to build up that credibility with them, if that makes sense. So it's a longer ball game of getting to know them and getting to understand why this business might be a fit for them. So it's longer. Yeah, cold market is so slow. Friends of friends, yeah, friends of friends is all right, because again, they know that you know somebody they know, so that again they know you're a real person and you're not dodgy. I still think so. There is that whole thing of where you could be like, hey, I just wanted to send you a message because I think that the business that I do would be, you'd love it. I think you've got to know them enough to give a reason. So if you don't know why they would love it or why it would be good for them, then you probably don't know enough information to go straight in with the business, and use that as a general rule. So do you know if they hate their job or need more money or want more holidays or want more out of life or whatever? Do you know that of that person? And if you do, you've got enough of a reason, you've got enough info to go on to then be like, oh my goodness, I was thinking of you because you love your holidays and you hate your job. You should come and find out what I'm doing. You've got something to go on to then invite. If you literally, you know of them, but you don't really know whether they like or hate their job or much about them, then you don't know enough to kind of invite them maybe straight away. So you might want to start to sort of like build your relationship up with them a little bit more. Let's have a little look. How funny. Oh, let's have a little look. So I'm just trying to see whether I've missed any of these. Basically make new friends. Yeah, that's what it is. Like, just build rapport with people, build friendships in a genuine way. Like, Carolina has been amazing at this. She's pretty new to the area. She was like, oh, I haven't got a massive network, but she's going to new clubs, aquanatal, things like that. She's building relationships with people, and it is absolutely paying off. She's building that credibility with her network. So it does take a little bit of a longer ball game. But actually, I said to her, it's not fake, because she wants to make new friends anyway, because like I say, she is new to the area. It is nice for her to go on little play dates with her children, with her little boy and with her soon-to-be children. She's got another one on the way. So yeah, LinkedIn is far more businessy and less chit chat. Yeah, that's so true. And you can just cut to the chase on LinkedIn because they expect it on that platform. Whereas if you're doing it on other platforms, it could be a little bit weird. Would you say face-to-face DAs are better for your cold market? Bit of yeah, probably. It's tricky on a cold market as to whether they'll attend anything, because again, have you got that credibility with them for them to turn up? But I suppose if they come to a DA, they meet people, they hear different stories, it's not just you, they know that it's an actual thing, don't they? They hear credible stories from credible people, they can see success. That's probably more of a better route to go on. I've added a few people on the cook page, but am I doing it right? And am I saying enough? Right, okay, Annette. I would say really and I don't know whether this is the case for you or not, I would only be adding people to the page when they have been presented to or been along to a Discover Arbonne, or they've watched an online Discover Arbonne and they've made it known that they're interested. Because I have had people in the past like say to my husband, oh, I've been added to this group with your wife on Facebook and I have no idea what it is, and it all looks a little bit weird and there's all these notifications going on. So unless they know about what we do, as in they've been presented to, then I would not add them to the page, because I think it might look a little bit weird, unless maybe you've tried to have a Discover Arbonne with them a few times and it's not happened. Then you might say, right, well, I'll add you to the page because there's loads of videos and you can learn some more on there. But I would always try and have met with them or done a Discover Arbon or a one-to-one or a Zoom or something with them before adding them to the page, because then that's like another exposure. But hopefully they've got it right in their head, they know what it is, and that's just a tool to just learn more. Does that answer everyone's questions? Was that helpful? I think just the key to an objection is when somebody has an objection that they don't want to meet you. I mean, it's different when there's an objection, when once they've been presented to and they've got an objection, that's a different thing. At this stage, when they've got an objection, they know nothing. So it's just about, for me, being empathetic and be like, oh my gosh, honestly, I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised, because I was not interested. I would not, have been thought that this would be my thing at all. But honestly, come along, have a little listen with an open mind. If it's not for you, that's absolutely fine. But I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised. And that's one of my sort of favourite lines. If it's not for you, that's absolutely fine. But why don't you just come along? You've got nothing to lose. And I think you'll find you'll be really, really pleasantly surprised, And then people go, oh, okay, cool. But it sounds like it's not a big deal, and it's not really pressurized. It's just really light, and let's have a glass of wine or a coffee. I think it's much more it's much more desirable, and just like, oh well, may as well then, may as well go along kind of thing. But just don't take it personally, because even though it's like the most incredible life-changing opportunity, they don't yet. So if they don't see it yet and they don't say yes to you yet, that's fine. Just keep asking them, oh my gosh, you missed last night, it was such an incredible night, we've got another one on Wednesday. Well, what are you doing Wednesday? Why don't you come along to that? Because it's such a shame that you missed last night. And just make sure that, if they cancel or they don't turn up or whatever, you then ask them to the next one, and just keep doing that until they get there, basically. That is just the name of the game. Is that helpful? Anyone got any other common objections to anything that I can help? Brilliant. Okay, amazing. Well done, Roxy. Yay. And it's just like, then if someone comes to your launch, you might then want to invite them to a Discover Arbon or to an online one. Just like I said on the training this morning, it's just then multiple exposures. You want to make sure they've had products, add them to the page, tag them in a couple of things that you think might resonate with them. Don't try and tag them in loads, because again, you don't want to come across desperate, like, look at this, look at this, look at this. And then they're like, oh my word, I've got like a million notifications. But it's just like fine line, isn't it? Just like keeping them intrigued, tagging them in something that might resonate with them, and just playing it cool. You're not desperate, you're just trying to show them how incredible this could be for them, and how this could be the vehicle to absolutely smash their goals and dreams and everything else. So I'll take a note today, but I'll come back to you, because you'll absolutely love this. Love it, Beth. But yeah, most people, like, they just don't at this stage. They haven't even heard yet. So it's just that case of just playing it really casual, just getting them along to something. And when they do hear, then when they've got objections, we can really go into that objection handling kind of thing, if that makes sense. I think I've kind of I hope that that's been helpful for people. But just really, what I would honestly encourage you to do is, if you feel like you're not getting the results you want from your messages, if you feel like when somebody asks a question back, you don't know what to say back, if you're not sure whether what you're saying is right or too much or too little, or just honestly copy and paste it, screen dump it to me or your upline, one of the other areas, whatever, and we will absolutely help you. That is the key. So anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you. We've nearly gone on for an hour. I wasn't kind of prescriptive with when it would end, because I was kind of thinking, well, really, if we could get an invite in, and when people kind of say, oh, well, they've got an objection to even coming along to here, and I thought if we could handle that all in one go, then that would be good, and we hopefully have. But honestly, don't sit there thinking, oh, I'm not very good at this inviting, or I don't really know what to say. Get it cracked. Shout up. Ask us, and we can absolutely help. Lots of love. Have an amazing evening. I'm going to send a couple more messages before 10 o'clock whilst I'm on this high level energy, because Sunday night is such a good night to message. Love you all, and I will see you on Miracle Morning tomorrow. Whose Miracle Morning is it in the morning? Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. I did ask Simon to check for me earlier, and he hasn't. best get onto a new PA, hadn't I? See you all soon, fabulous people. Night night.